So hello, divine ones. Welcome to another episode of Self-Love Your Way There. In today's episode, I want to address a few questions I've been getting recently. In the last week or so, a lot of people have been inboxing me or stopping me when they see me in person and asking me questions about manifestation, particularly about why they're not manifesting what they want. They've been doing the vision boards, they've been doing the affirmations, they've been trying to raise their vibration, they've been doing all these things that have been taught in many different circles that are the keys to manifesting what they want, and they're not getting it. And they've heard me talk about why self-love is the key, the real secret to manifestation, and it is. And my my message to the world is that when we love ourselves, all is well, all is coming, and all is delicious. And I want to focus on the all is coming part of that a little bit today, because what that means is when we love ourselves, when we are truly loving ourselves, that begins to attract to us our authentic desires, our deepest dreams, and the things that will make our unique life feel most delicious to us. That is what I have found after my near-death experience. The journey that I went on, the healing journey that I went into, was a masterclass in healing and well-being. And one of the things that I had to really learn was about manifestation. So I have learned a lot about manifestation. Some things that you may know, and a lot of things you don't. And so I want to share some things around this topic. I love the way Abraham Hicks says it. Is like, you hear that you can manifest what you can be, have, or do whatever you want, and you're sitting here like, where's my stuff? Like, where's my stuff? And I want to share today 3 reasons why you aren't manifesting what you want, and why every one of those reasons has to do with self-love. So if you've been wanting to know about manifestation, or you've been having something that you've been desiring for a while and it hasn't shown up yet, and you've been doing all the tools and the tricks and all the stuff that you have been reading about or hearing about that should allow for the manifestation of what you want, and it's not coming, I want to share with you 3 of the main reasons. There are a few more reasons after this, but these are the main core reasons I've found why most of us don't manifest what we want. So without further ado, let's dive in. So reason number 1 why you're not manifesting what you want is you're not a frequency match to it. And what that means is, whatever you want, you have to be the right energetic container for it to arrive and for it to stay. So it is very possible to attract to you something that you want and you're not the right frequency match to it. But what ends up happening when that happens, there's a lot of effort you have to put out in order for this to happen. There's a lot of effort. You're going to end up stressed. You're going to end up overwhelmed. And because you're not a frequency match, that thing cannot stay in your life. It will leave very fast. Whether that's money, whether that's a relationship, whether that's the health status, whatever it is, if you're not a frequency match to it, it can't stay in your life. It's very much like magnets, right? You have to be the same type of energy match. So you're going to repel, right? So you will repel it like magnets. Like I know magnets are different energy charges. So what I'm talking about specifically is the part where you repel. And if you're not a frequency match, that how this works, how we work as soul beings on the planet, is when you are an energetic match to something, it must show up for you. You must have an experience with it. And the longer you are energetically attuned to that thing, the longer it will stay, and the less it's going to stay. Now, I want to dive a little bit deeper into this, because most of you have probably heard something like that. If you've been studying anything around the law of attraction or manifestation, you've probably heard about you have to be the right energy match. But I want to share a little bit more about that, because here's the thing: whatever you want, you actually want it because it's going to, actually, let me say it this way first. When I talk about becoming a right energy frequency container, the energy frequency container to be able to hold and attract what you want is actually the frequency of your true self. This is what's not actually taught a lot. It's usually about trying to become some different frequency than what you are right now, which is sometimes it may be because you may not actually be in the frequency of your true self right now. You may be suppressing something, you may be hiding something, you may be really sad or something like, or really resentful about something. And your true self is the frequency of your soul, which is love. The frequency of your soul is love. And if you've been following me for a while, you know I talk about the energy of the soul. The frequency of the soul is made up of 5 main vibrations. Those vibrations are peace, worthiness, freedom, empowerment, and joy. Peace, worthiness, freedom, empowerment, and joy. Those vibrations, the soul is a multifaceted energy. It's a multifaceted entity. You may call it, we've called it before, multidimensional, but that's actually what you're talking about. Dimensions are vibrations. That'll be another show. But dimensions are vibrations. And so the soul has many different dimensions and vibrations that make it up. And those 5 ones are the main ones. So when you want something, when you desire something, especially if you're yearning for something, if it's something you are yearning for, craving for, you are yearning for that thing because you feel, and you might not be aware of this like consciously, but this is actually what happens. You feel subconsciously that having that thing will make you feel more like yourself. It will make you feel more free. It will make you feel more worthy. It will make you feel more at peace. It will make you feel more empowered. It will make you feel more joy. And basically, it's going to make you feel more of your soul. It's going to bring more of the energy of your soul into your body so that you embody your soul more. That's really that's really the core reason why you want everything that you want, is that it's going to help you become more of yourself. And so here's the thing. That thing, if you've heard me talk about this ad nauseum, is that the universe always sends your desires to your home address. And you can't get your true desires unless you're at home. Well, what is your home address? Your home address is your soul's frequency. It's your unique soul's frequency. And so it's the version of you that feels free and at peace and empowered and worthy and joyous. And if you are not feeling that way, like if you're stressed out or if you're feeling in bondage some type of way, you know, you may be feeling in bondage because you're hiding a part of yourself. I know this was a part of my journey. I used to really want things and couldn't figure out why things weren't showing up, but I was hiding parts of myself. I wasn't being my true self. I was hiding my sexuality. I was hiding my spiritual gifts. And that lowered my frequency from love to bondage, right? So I wasn't in freedom. I was in bondage. By the way, all those things I just named, those are different names for love: freedom, worthiness, joy, empowerment. Love and those things are the same thing. They are one another, right? And also they are your soul. So there are different ways about naming your soul. So when I was in bondage, I was not free. I was not embodying my soul. So I had a very hard time manifesting things, even though I was doing all the things. I had the vision boards. I was visualizing every day. I was doing the raising of the vibration tricks. I was doing all that, and things weren't manifesting for me that I really wanted until I really started to express more of myself and be more transparent and be more honest with who I am. Also, when I was stressed and I was overwhelmed and overexerted, I didn't start manifesting a lot of what I wanted until I began to relax more and take more off my plate and start to feel more at ease in my life. Same thing with worthiness. When I didn't feel enough, I had a hard time manifesting. So all these things, right, are who you really are. They are who your soul is. No matter who you are in this world, your soul vibrates in those frequencies, right? It holds those vibrations, and the conglomerate of those vibrations is the frequency of love, is the frequency of your unique soul in this form. So one of the reasons why you're not manifesting what you want is you are not in alignment with that frequency. And for some of the reasons that I mentioned, maybe you're hiding something about yourself. Maybe you're not being honest in your life. You're not living your truth. Maybe you're not feeling worthy and enough. You have a lot of shame. You judge yourself. You criticize yourself. Maybe you're not happy. You're not doing what fulfills you and satisfies you. Maybe you feel depressed. And so all of these things will take you out of the vibration of who you naturally are. And so you won't be home. You're not home. And so your stuff is at your house, it's at your home frequency, and you won't receive it until you get there. And when you get there, what you find is like literally when you come back home, and I've seen this countless times in my life, but I've also seen this in countless times when I've worked with clients and I've helped them do this. When you come back home to your home frequency, right? When you do the self-love work to come home, all of a sudden it feels like an avalanche of stuff that you've been dreaming about, that you've been praying about, that you've been meditating about, that you've been visioning board about. It just like falls into your life all of a sudden. It's like an avalanche because you are home and you can open the door. And you'll find it's like, Amazon delivers all your stuff to your door and it's just waiting there for you to get home. It's like, it's all pressed up against the door. When you are home, you open the door, it all falls in. And so that's the number one reason why you're probably not receiving what you want, because, by the way, the universe is not withholding anything from you. The universe is you, by the way, and it loves you. And love does not withhold. Love is not asking you to prove anything. It already knows you're worthy. So it's not like you need to do more things to get it. You just need to be yourself. You need to be in your true energy and you will receive. So that's number one. Number two, kind of goes into, it's kind of right. This really could be 1A, but just for the sake of this, this episode, we're going to call it a whole separate thing. But number two is the reason why you are not manifesting what you really want is because a part of you doesn't feel like you would be, is actually afraid of having it. Doesn't feel like you would be safe if it manifested. Now, some people are going to teach you that your subconscious is trying to protect you from what it believes would be unsafe for you. And that's not actually fully true, because your soul does not think in the terms of protection, because it doesn't think there's anything out there to be protected from. That's another episode as well that I promise we will get into. But so people will use the term "is trying to protect you," but that's really not the case. Again, you're not in your home frequency. So when you are, your home frequency is love, and love is not fear. And so when you are afraid, when there's a part of you that is afraid that if you manifested this thing, you wouldn't be safe some type of way, then you're holding an energy of fear around when you think about that topic. And so as long as you think about it and there's an energy of fear, even if you're not very aware of it, then you can't manifest it. For instance, there was a part of me that when I was, healing from the terminal diseases, and why it took so long, right? It's taken so long. It's because there was a part of me that was afraid that if I became healthy, and I would have to leave my family, like I would move, because I didn't want to live in the same city as my family anymore in my head when I was healthy. But my family was struggling with some things, and I was afraid that if I moved, they would take a deep dive down, and I didn't want that. Also, if I was healthy, people were supporting me, right? They were supporting me when I was ill, and they were helping me when they weren't helping and supporting me before. And so there was a part of me that was afraid that I would lose support and help, and which I really wanted. And there was a part of me also that believed that because, I was ill, and one of the parts of me being ill was I really tried to relax, and I really tried to not put a lot on my plate. There was a part of me that feared that if I became well, I would go back into the pattern of putting more on my plate that I can handle, and I would be stressed out. And so there was a part of my subconscious thinking that thought that being healthy was not safe for me because I was going to go back into toxic patterns. And so the more healthy thing for me to be was to be sick. And I know that sounds like a oxymoron, but this is kind of how, you know, our subconscious kind of works a lot. This is another reason why a lot of people will manifest illness, because for one, if you have a hard time saying no in your life, this is another thing for me, why I know especially for kidney failure, one of the reasons kidney failure manifested for me was because I had a hard time saying no. I was always saying yes. I was always taking too much on. And kidney failure gave me the excuse finally to say, I can't do that because I'm tired and I'm having dialysis, right? So your body will help you say no when you're not voluntarily doing so. But one of the ways to heal yourself is to not have to have your body speak for you, right? To actually begin to say no, to actually begin to stop taking on so much so that your body doesn't have to step in for you. But if you're not doing that, if you're not taking the empowered stance to speak up for what you need and place yourself first and center yourself and make sure your well-being is your priority, then your body has to do that for you. And so you won't manifest health because you're not taking well actions, meaning well self-loving actions. So that's kind of one of the reasons like that will happen a lot of times, you know, if you feel, you know, if you manifest this is another thing I see a lot. I see this a lot with other people, and I had this as well in my journey. But with money, especially with entrepreneurs, you may want a certain money level and you're wondering why it's not coming. You're working so hard. You've got great things putting out. You've got great products, great services, and you're still not making the money. And there's a lot of reasons behind that. It all comes to around like your idea of safety and fear of having more money. And you're like, what do you mean fear of having more money, Jerome? I'm not afraid of having more money. I want more money. Well, what does having that more money mean for you? Like, for example, if you manifested the level of money that you say you wanted, would you be the richest person in your family? Would you be richer than your parents or your brothers and sisters and your siblings? What do you think would happen with that? Right? So for some people, they're afraid because they think their brothers and sisters may ridicule them, or they may ostracize them, or they believe that their family may come to them for handouts, and they don't want to do that because they, again, have a hard time saying no. So they feel that they would be drained and resentful. So again, that's an energy imbalance there. You're not at peace with this. You're not excited and happy and joyous about it. You don't feel empowered about it. You feel afraid. And so you cannot manifest that money from that energy. Right? So what people will tell you is that your subconscious is trying to keep you safe, but what's really happening is you're not home. While you feel like that, you're not in your home energy, so you cannot manifest it. So this is something to really look at. You know, what do I really feel would happen for me if this manifested? And if there's any fear you have, right? So again, for me, I said this was also something I struggle with. I remember as a kid, my mother is a physician, so I would have money to go to the movies and things back then, especially because the movies was like $2 back then. But like I could have money on the weekends to go to the movies, but I had some relatives that could not. They didn't always have money. And I loved them. They were like brothers to me. And I would feel bad that I had money and they didn't. And I began to associate having money and having lots of money with making other people around me that I love feel bad and feel like I didn't belong and feel like I was better than, and I didn't want to feel that way. So there was a part of me that associated money with something that I didn't want because it would separate me from people I loved. And until I started really looking at that and working on that and releasing that belief, I used to struggle with getting more money, no matter how talented I was, no matter how much work I was doing. I was making just enough to get by, but I wasn't making more than that. And so this is kind of how this works in the system, right? And so if there's something, if there is a belief that you have that somehow the manifestation of the thing that you really say you want will cause trouble for you, or will make you unsafe in some type of way, then your energy is not in your home frequency and you can't manifest it until you address that. You have to address it. And there's many different things you can do to address that. You can hire somebody like me to help you with that. You can do a lot of affirmations like, it is safe for me to have what I want in this world. The universe will make a way for my life to be at ease and peaceful and empowered, with the new version of me having what I want. I attract what I want, and I attract situations, spaces, and people that highly support me having this. There's a lot of different things. You got to change your self-talk and change what you believe around having that thing. That is very important, because if you do not do that, you're just never, it'll never come. No matter how hard you work, no matter what you do, it will always seem to be on the periphery. It will never seem to be in your experience, even though, again, the universe is not withholding it from you. The universe is giving it to you. It is at your home address. But as long as you feel like there's a fear around having it, there's a fear some type of way around having it, you're not going to be home enough to get it. So you got to address that fear. You got to work through that fear and release that fear and develop trust around it, that you are safe having money. This is one of the things I had to do, that I told you that I believed that having more money would separate me from people I loved. And so one of the things I had to start to work on was believing that the more money I had, the closer I became to the people that I loved. And the more I was able to support myself, and the more people that I loved celebrated me for it. It was things like that. I had to change my thinking around it, because I had a childhood belief that said otherwise. So that's one of the reasons. And it usually will be a belief that comes from childhood. Now, not always, because some of the things could have happened in your adulthood, but a lot of times around childhood. Also, if you have if you grew up in poverty and you don't want to outdo your parents, that's also, I see this a lot in people. There's a subconscious belief that they don't want to make their parents feel bad. They don't want to be the outlier in the family, because if they have this much money, they definitely would be the outlier. That also is, again, it's a fear. So you have to address and rearrange that belief. Remember, your beliefs determine your reality and what gets to come in your reality. The universe must shape your reality around your beliefs. So if you believe this is unsafe, it'll be unsafe. So that's one of the things that you want to look at, and moving your fear to love. And this is why I'm saying to love yourself more, is to really soothe yourself and really connect to the trust that life loves you, that it is safe to have what you want, and that whatever it is that you attract to yourself, life will bring to you the situations that will support you in it, and that will allow you to feel more loved and lovable with it. And this is why it's an act. When I talk about these manifesting are acts of self-love, because moving from fear to trust is an act of self-love. And this is what number 2 was about. Number 1 was about becoming more of your true self, embodying the energy of your soul, which is what self-love is all about. But yeah, this is why manifestation has to do with self-love. So that's number 1 and number 2. Number 3 is really one of the biggest ones. It's one of the most important ones, and the ones I see the most. Now, the other 2 are very common, but this is another one that I see a lot. And it is the reason why you're not manifesting what you want is because you're not happy and you don't feel enough without it. And I'll say that again, because this is the big one. The reason why you're not manifesting what you want is because you are not happy and you do not feel enough without it. what you have done is what many of us do is we place our worthiness, our okayness, and our happiness on the contingency of something either coming into our life or something leaving our life. And why this is problematic to your soul, from your soul's perspective, is because your soul is unconditional love. Your soul is not conditional love. That means it is joy and happiness, whether you have that thing or not. It is joy, it is worthiness, whether you have that thing or not, whether something changes about you or it doesn't. So your soul, in order to be aligned with your soul and be home in your home frequency, you have to really begin to learn how to feel unconditionally happy and unconditionally worthy. And a lot of us are being like, yeah, I'll feel enough and worthy if this happens or when this happens, those dreaded ifs and whens. That's when you know that this is number three is definitely is you. Like if you find yourself saying, yeah, I'll be okay and I'll be at peace, or I'll be happy when this happens or if this happens, then you've placed a condition on your peace and on your happiness and on your worthiness. And your home energy, where your soul lives, is unconditional. It does not agree with that at all. Your soul does not agree with that because it knows you are worthiness and you are joy and you are peace unconditionally. And so one of the big things that you'll see literally magic happen in manifestation is when you can learn to be happy and at peace in the absence of that. And you can learn to be happy and at peace, not in the absence of it, like, I'm going to learn how to be at peace and happy without it so that it can come. Like, instead, I will be at peace with my life now. Whether it comes or not, I will be at peace. Whether it comes or never comes, I will be happy. Whether it comes or never comes, I am enough. And I know that I'm enough. You know, you may feel this a lot when people are wanting to lose. I see this a lot, especially when people want to lose weight. They have like a weight goal or health goal. Like, I'll be enough when I lose this weight and I get into this dress size or this pants size, or I get this 6-pack, or I able to wear this swimsuit. You're beautiful and attractive and desirable now. And until you feel that, you'll always, again, remember when I said at the beginning of this, you can lose the weight, you can manifest what you want, but you won't be able to keep it off. And it won't be healthy. You'll feel even worse some type of way. Trust me, again, I know, as a person who have lost over 100 pounds in his weight loss journey, I can attest to this. When I stopped needing to lose weight to be beautiful and to be wanted and desirable, and I understood that no matter what weight I was on the scale, and whether I had a 6-pack or a 72-pack, I was still desirable. I was lovable, and I felt beautiful. And I did the self-love work to appreciate and accept my body. That's when my body just started to change almost on its own. Yes, I work out, but I was doing the same workouts and the same amount of exercise then and not losing anything. But the moment I did that, stuff just started falling off. The weight started falling off. My body started to begin to take on the physique that I wanted. Again, because I was happy and I felt worthy without losing the weight. The same thing goes with healing. If you're trying to heal from a disease, this is one of the biggest keys that very few people talk about. People think, yeah, I'll be happy and I'll really feel worthy and I'll be at peace when I heal this disease, when this disease is gone. You want to know a real way, the magic way to heal the disease? To be at peace in it. To be happy and enjoying your life while you still have that illness. Because then you embody the frequency of your soul, and your soul's frequency is the source of well-being, right? But while you're telling yourself that you can't be okay until this thing leaves you, it can't leave. You cannot give something permission as a soul. You cannot give something energetic permission to leave you until you no longer need it to leave. That's the paradox of this life experience. Until you no longer need it to leave, until you are okay and enough and at peace with whether it leaves or not, it can't leave. But the moment you are, you give it permission to go and it goes. You find a lot of times that's it. Right? There's so many studies that have been done with people who have had miraculous healings where they were like, I just forgot that I even had this disease. I just went and spent time with my friends. I started laughing. I started doing all the things I really loved. And I just lived as if this was going to be here or I was going to die with this. And before you know it, I had this miraculous healing. There are countless stories like that. This is the reason, right? The energy, because here's the other thing. When you are happy, and you are at peace and you feel worthy, no matter what is going on outside of you, you are now embodying the energy of your soul, which is unconditional love. And that energy it starts healing and fixing and changing and manifesting and attracting things. You didn't have to do anything. It was the energy that started to do it all by itself. And so this is one of the big things I see why a lot of people don't manifest what they want, because they're waiting on their situation to change to be happy. They're waiting on their situation to change or that thing to manifest or come before they feel at peace. And they're waiting on their situation to change, or they're waiting for this thing to manifest in order to feel enough. And they just prolong and prolong and prolong and prolong. And some of it never comes because I don't want to say the lesson, but the invitation behind that is always, can you be yourself without it? Can you be one of the facets of your true essence, whether this thing comes or not? Who you are is unconditional. It is not dependent upon what you have, what you don't have, how you look, how you don't look. It's not dependent on anything. And if you can hold the peace, find a way to be at peace, find a way to feel worthy, and find a way to enjoy your life, to be happy, to experience joy, whether that thing comes or not. And I'm not saying it won't be challenging. Listen, being on dialysis, it was challenging because things that brought me joy, like traveling, like sex, like things like that, was difficult when I had a catheter hanging on my chest or a catheter in my thigh. But I had to learn how to feel joy and focus on other things that uplifted me and other things that made me feel fulfilled and satisfied and other parts of my passion. I had to learn how to do that. And when I did, my body it's even still, my body is miraculously and rapidly getting better and better and better and better. And that's because I'm feeling more at peace and more worthy and more happy, whether anything in my health status changes or not. And that's life. Like, isn't that worth it anyway? Like, don't you just want, again, remember, what you want because you feel like it's going to make you feel more like yourself. It's going to make you feel more happy. It's going to make you feel more at peace. It's going to make you feel more free. It's going to make you feel more worthy somehow. Take that out of the equation and just go straight to the feeling. Go straight to the worthiness. Go straight to the peace. Go straight to the happiness. And that's its own reward. Because you feel happy now, you feel at peace, you feel worthy, and you forget that you even really want that thing. And when you get to that point, that's when, watch out. That's when those things start to show up really fast. So, yeah. So these are kind of the three main reasons why whatever you've been wanting or yearning for or craving or praying for or meditating on hasn't manifested yet, because you're not a frequency match. You're not a right frequency container. You're not at home. Part of you doesn't feel safe or is afraid of what will happen for you if you manifested. And you don't feel happy and enough without it. You've made your happiness and your worthiness and your peace conditional when they were always meant to be unconditional. So I hope this has helped you understand. If you'd like more help in actually how to shift that, I highly recommend getting my course, Self-Love Academy. You can find it on my website. It's the online course. I talk a bit more about manifestation, and I give, some tips for how to do the very things we talked about in this particular episode, how to do that for yourself. But if you'd like more, please look into that. I hope this has helped you. You are supposed to manifest what you want because you are loved, and love wants you to have what will make you feel more like yourself. But the key to that is to be yourself first, and then you get what helps you expand that. You get what helps you grow more of that. So, as always, I love you. Now, please go love yourself. Bye.